Chelsea transfer news, new winger target, Rosener stays, and what comes next. Let me ask you something straight away. If you were running Chelsea right now, what would be the one thing that keeps you up at night? For most of us watching from the outside, the answer feels pretty obvious. Goals. Creating chances, that final moment of quality that turns a good performance into 3 points. Chelsea have spent big, brought in exciting names, and yet something still feels missing when the team gets into the final third. The Blues have made some real moves in the transfer market over the past couple of windows, but the honest truth is that not everything has clicked the way the club hoped it would, and that is exactly why the latest round of transfer news has got so many Chelsea fans buzzing. There is a lot happening behind the scenes at Stamford Bridge right now. A new winger target has appeared, the manager question has been answered, a midfield deal looks close. And one of the most interesting young players in France could be on his way to West London. So let us get into all of it. This is everything you need to know about where Chelsea are heading as the summer window gets closer. The honest problem with Chelsea in attack. Before we talk about who Chelsea might be bringing in, it is worth being honest about why they need to bring anyone in at all. Because the squad on paper looks good. It really does. You have got Pedro Neto, who is a proper Premier League quality wide player. You have got Estevão Willian, who has shown real flashes of something special since arriving from Brazil. And then you have the two signings that were supposed to add another level to the attack, Alejandro Garnacho and Jamie Gittins. The expectation when both of those deals were done was clear. Chelsea were going to have some serious firepower on the wings. Garnacho had been catching eyes at Manchester United, and Gittins had been one of the most talked about young wingers in Germany. On paper, those additions looked exciting, but reality has not matched the expectation. Garnacho has been inconsistent. Some games he looks dangerous, other games he goes missing, and it feels like the team is playing with 10 men on that side. Gittins has had even less chance to prove himself because injury has taken him out of the picture and kept him on the sidelines. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. Is that lack of output a player problem, a system problem, or just bad luck? And more importantly, does Chelsea go and sign another winger anyway just to make sure they have proper cover and competition in that area? It looks like the answer to that last question is yes. And the name that has come up is one that will be very familiar to anyone who has been watching League One this season. Who is Magnus Akliouche, and why is Chelsea interested? Magnus Akliouche is 22 years old, plays for Monaco in France, and has been one of the most exciting attacking players in League One over the past year or so. He generally plays as a right winger, but can also operate in an attacking midfield role, which makes him flexible and useful in different systems. His numbers this season speak for themselves: 7 goals and 8 assists in 38 appearances across all competitions. That is 15 direct goal contributions from a wide player. To put that in perspective, he is only 2 goal contributions behind Pedro Neto, who is widely considered one of Chelsea's best players right now, and Neto has played 7 more games than Akliouche this season. That kind of output is hard to ignore. He has also shown he can perform on the big stage. Akliouche scored in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain this season. That is not a small thing. Scoring in a knockout European competition against one of the biggest clubs in the world shows you can handle pressure. It shows you belong at the top level. Now here's the interesting part. According to French outlet Mediafoot, Chelsea have now registered an interest in signing Akliouche and are positioning themselves to make what is being described as a surprise move. Monaco want to keep him. He is one of their most important players, and they would prefer not to sell. But the same report says that a bid of around £60 million would be enough to test Monaco's resolve and potentially force them into a sale. Do you think £60 million is a fair price for Akliouche given his age and what he has shown this season, or is that too much for a player who has not yet done it in the Premier League? Let us know what you think. What makes this even more interesting is the competition for his signature. This is not a case where Chelsea can just stroll in and expect to get their man easily. Manchester United and Liverpool have both been tracking Akliouche, Tottenham and Newcastle have been monitoring him for over a year, and Arsenal have reportedly been in contact with his representatives for months. This is going to be a serious battle if it develops into something concrete. The Rosener Connection that makes this transfer make sense. Here is something that a lot of people might have missed in the coverage of this transfer story. Chelsea manager Liam Rosener does not need anyone to tell him who Magnus Akliouche is. He has already seen it firsthand. Before Rosener came to Chelsea, he was managing Strasbourg. Earlier in the League One season, Strasbourg faced Monaco, and in that game, Akliouche scored a goal and provided an assist in a 3-2 Monaco win. Rosener was on the touchline that day. He watched Akliouche hurt his team directly. When a manager has personally experienced a player pulling apart their defensive shape and creating real problems, you can bet that player stays in their mind. Rosener did not just see Akliouche on a highlight reel, he watched him live under competitive pressure, doing exactly what you want a winger to do. That kind of personal knowledge is valuable when it comes to making transfer decisions. So when we hear that Chelsea are interested in Akliouche, it is not just a random scouting lead. There is a direct connection between the manager and the player. Rosener knows what he does, knows how he moves, and knows what he brings to a team. That should give Chelsea fans some confidence that this is a serious interest rather than just noise. Rosener is staying. What that means for the club. One of the biggest pieces of news this week has nothing to do with transfers at all. According to respected journalist David Ornstein, Liam Rosener will remain as Chelsea head coach next season. And that is the case whether Chelsea qualify for the Champions League or not. This is a really significant statement from the club. It removes all the uncertainty around the managerial situation and sends a clear message. Chelsea are committed to Rosener. They believe in what he is building, and they want him to have a full preseason and proper time to put his stamp on how this team plays. Think about the context here. Rosener came in mid-season after Enzo Maresca was sacked. The team was on a run of 1 win in 9 matches. The mood around the club was low, and there were real questions about where things were heading. Stepping into that environment with a new squad still finding its feet is incredibly difficult. Since he took over, Rosener has recorded 10 wins in 19 matches. That is not world-beating stuff, but it is a serious improvement on what was happening before. And when you factor in the injury problems, the thick fixture schedule, and the fact that he did not have a preseason to work with his players, those numbers look even more respectable. The important thing now is what comes next. A full preseason makes a massive difference for any manager. You get to work on shape, fitness, and team understanding from scratch. You get to bring in players that fit your system from the very beginning, rather than inheriting a squad built for someone else. For Rosener, next season is really where his Chelsea project properly begins. Is Rosener the right man to take Chelsea forward? Some fans are still not fully convinced, and that is a fair debate to have. But the club has made their decision, and now it is about backing him properly with the right players and the right support. What do you think? Is sticking with Rosener the right call, or do you think Chelsea should have looked elsewhere? Alex Scott and the midfield question. While everyone has been focused on the winger situation, there is another transfer story developing quietly in the background. Chelsea have been scouting Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott for much of this season, and the interest appears to be serious. Scott had a brilliant game against Arsenal just yesterday, scoring the winning goal in a 2-1 Bournemouth victory that piled more pressure on Mikel Arteta's side in the title race. That is exactly the kind of performance that keeps a player on the radar of top clubs. He is 21 years old, English, and developing into one of the most creative midfielders in the Premier League outside the top 6. Journalist Simon Phillips confirmed recently that Scott is on Chelsea's midfield shortlist for the summer window. He described it as something that has been on their radar for a short while now, which suggests this is genuine interest rather than just casual monitoring. Now here's where it gets complicated. Chelsea are actually pretty well stocked in midfield at the moment. They have options in that area, and you could argue they do not urgently need another central midfielder. So why are they looking at Scott? The answer might lie in the situation surrounding Enzo Fernandez. The Argentine has been suspended internally by the club after he publicly hinted at a desire to join Real Madrid in the future. Those kinds of comments create uncertainty. If Fernandez ends up leaving in the summer, Chelsea will suddenly have a real gap in midfield that needs filling quickly. Having Alex Scott lined up as a potential option makes a lot of sense in that scenario. It is also worth noting that Scott will be hoping Thomas Tuchel selects him for England's World Cup squad this summer. A strong showing at the tournament would only increase his value and make any transfer even more expensive. If Chelsea are serious about him, moving sooner rather than later might be the smart play. Valentin Barco, the deal that is already done. While there is still plenty of speculation around Akliouche and Scott, one deal looks very close to being wrapped up already. Valentin Barco from Strasbourg appears to be heading to Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea had to move fast to make it happen. Barco is a young midfielder who has had an excellent season at Strasbourg, which is a fellow Blue Co club. That connection within the ownership structure has helped Chelsea keep a close eye on him throughout the campaign. His development this season has been impressive enough that other big clubs were circling, with Bayern Munich reportedly keen to bring him to Germany. But Chelsea moved first and beat Bayern to his signing. That is a real statement. When a club the size of Bayern Munich is interested in a player and Chelsea still manages to get him, it tells you the project at Stamford Bridge still has genuine appeal for young players who want to develop at the highest level. Barco fits perfectly into the kind of signings Chelsea have been making under their current ownership model. Young, talented, with serious potential to grow into something special. He might not be the finished article right now, but the idea is to bring him in, give him time, and let him develop into a key player over the next few years. Putting it all together. What does Chelsea's summer look like? Let us step back and look at the bigger picture. What are Chelsea actually trying to build here? The manager is confirmed. That removes one giant question mark and allows everyone to plan properly. Rosener will be given funds to strengthen the squad, and he will have a proper preseason to work with his players. That combination, a clear vision from a settled manager with backing from the board, is exactly what a project needs to move forward. In attack, Chelsea want another winger who can actually deliver consistent numbers. Akliouche fits that profile almost perfectly. He is 22, he is already performing at a high level in League One and the Champions League, and his manager knows exactly what he can do. The £60 million price tag is steep but not unreasonable for a player of his profile. The question is whether Chelsea can get ahead of the queue when Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and Newcastle are all watching the same player. In midfield, the Barco deal takes care of one position and adds future quality to the engine room. The Scott situation will depend heavily on what happens with Fernandes. If Enzo stays, Scott might not be a priority. If Enzo goes, Scott suddenly becomes urgent. What Chelsea are building is a young, hungry, energetic squad with quality all across the pitch. The vision is clear. The execution is what has been difficult. But with a manager now in place for the long term and a clearer idea of what is needed, this could be a defining summer for the club. Here's a question worth sitting with. If Chelsea do sign Akliouche this summer, does that mean one of the current wingers has to leave? With Nido, Estevao, Garnacho, Gittins, and potentially Akliouche all in the squad, that is a serious amount of wide players. Someone will not be getting enough game time, and that creates problems. Who would you move on to make space? Final thoughts. This is a really fascinating moment for Chelsea as a club. There is genuine momentum building. The results under Rosener have been steady enough to earn trust. The transfer targets are interesting and show real ambition, and the decision to commit to the manager sends a message to everyone, players, targets, and fans alike, that there is a plan being followed here. The Akliouche pursuit is the most exciting thread to follow. He is exactly the kind of player Chelsea need: creative, productive, young, and versatile. If they can pull off that signing ahead of the clubs with bigger recent pedigree, it would be a real statement of intent. The Barco deal shows the smart side of the operation. Getting ahead of Bayern Munich for a young talent before the summer window even opens is exactly how you build a squad for the future without panic buying. And the Rosener news gives everyone something to build around. No more rumors about who might come in to replace him. No more players wondering whether their manager will still be here in August. Just a clear platform and a chance to go again. Chelsea have not had everything go right this season, but the direction of travel feels like it is improving, and if the summer window goes well, next season could be something very different. Now we want to hear from you. Are you excited about the Akliouche links? Do you back Rosener to take Chelsea to the next level? And who do you think should leave the club this summer to make space for new arrivals? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is the John Chelsea analysis community, and your opinion matters here. Come on, Chelsea. Let us see what this summer brings.